Hello everyone, this is Ricky Fury again, bringing you the final video in this survivability guide series. I've covered many aspects of survivability and tanking in this guide, and today I'll be just going over the last little tidbits that I don't feel I've covered effectively enough in other videos. So today I'll be covering the super basics in terms of deflectors, impulse engines, warp cores, and singularity cores, along with shields. And then at the very end, I'll also just add just a couple of YouTube channels that you also might find interesting for those of you that have managed to watch all 12 of these videos. That you might be able to find digital information or a different perspective on tanking and survivability inside the game. Alright, so to start off with, for deflectors, it doesn't matter a ton of which one they really choose. Ideally, you'd want one with some hull and shield healing and some additional control expertise. That's kind of the deflectors that I personally am looking for. If you are a science captain, there is one particular deflector that you really would be looking for, and it's in this mission, A Step Between Stars, and it's called the Solnate Deflector. At the moment in the game, this is the go-to best science deflector in the entire game. Now, I think by what some of the users have been talking about, I think one of the reputation deflectors, the reputation deflector in the next expansion might be just about equivalent to this deflector, so that might be a good one to think about as well. But at least for the moment, this is the best science deflector in the entire game, especially when you get this to MK14 Epic. It's absolutely the best one in the game. It's got lots of EPG as well as Dragon expertise on it. Beyond that, it's really based upon a single deflector type of thing that you see that you like, or it might be a deflector that you choose because of a 4-piece or 3-piece bonus like what I have on my ship. In terms of other deflectors, I mean, I personally like the Kabali because of what it gives you. You can also go with the Lucari one from the Lucari reputation. It's the one that I will mention a whole bunch that's available to everyone. However, as I've definitely mentioned in other videos, this deflector, it's nice, but it does cost a lot of proto micro containers. Like if you go for the full 4-piece set here and want to go for the full like piezo polaron type of thing, it's going to cost you what, 20 plus 2 plus 2, I think. So yeah, it'll cost you 24 proto micro containers, along with a whole lot of the card books. Which, as I mentioned before, queues for Lucari is pretty sparse, especially for ones with the micro containers. So it's a set of things that's actually decently hard to get, but it's not impossible. So yeah, that's kind of my basis for deflectors. For deflectors and all these other categories, I'll have links in the description to the STO wiki that give you some basic information there, as long as potentially, for at least for 3 of them, I'll also have a YouTube video that'll give you some comparisons and things to think about it as well. As for impulse engines, virtually everything in your impulse engines doesn't really matter for PvE. If you're going for PvP combat, there's different things you might want to consider that might be good over other things. Again, if that really matters a lot to you for PvP, then definitely go search for like some PvP builds online and look at the specific things that those pilots have on their impulse engines. There's certain ones that are definitely better for that. For me as a PvE player, it doesn't matter too much, and so what I look for more for impulse engines is what type of set is it really a part of? And does it give me some good stuff with that set? I also happen to have the Lucari one. As you can see here, it gives some kinetic damage. Cool. And when I'm taking more than 25% of my max hold in 5 seconds, it does give you some additional flight speed and turn rate, and some additional regeneration during that time. The one that I use, it gives recharge time on a hull and shield healing bridge officer abilities, as well as some other stuff which doesn't matter inside of combat. So most impulse engines don't really matter. The only two that actually I would say have stats that actually matter is the impulse engines from the counter command. These particular engines do give you some defense, as you can see here. It gives you some defense. What's not showing here, but this thing also gives you a little bit of extra control expertise. So it gives you a little more resistance to control effects, and that effect is doubled versus the Undine. But you know, it's a really good stat to have, especially as a tank versus whenever you're fighting basically any type of enemy in the game. So yeah, the other type of engines that I think are actually worthwhile. I can always go through one. You actually get from the colony reputation, or like the colony world thing, and you get it after you get renewable energy to tier 4, and then you're able to get the light fleet space engines. Now, my fleet obviously isn't there yet. We're pretty close. We're waiting in order so we can go and put in the stuff to upgrade that one as well. And obviously morale is pretty close behind that as well. Space, like the next couple weeks, we'll have tier 4 of those, and then get tier 4 for colony up, and then just waiting a while to grind to get the stuff to tier 5. What's special about these engines, the proc that's nice on this, I can't remember the name of the proc. I was reading it on the STO wiki, but the proc is really nice. So basically, it gives you additional shield resistance based upon your level of impulse that you have here. If you're a full impulse, it gives you a maximum of I think it's like 10% shield resistance, which, especially for tanks, because as tanks we're always going to be at full impulse. That's just how it works. That's extremely valuable, as it gives you another inherent base 10% shield resistance to your ship. So if you don't have the particular tanks that you're going for, or whatever, then that's obviously a nice one. And in a couple weeks or a month or so, whenever my fleet has that available, I might put up a speed tank build with a Rising Corvette, have those engines on there, and see how it all performs. Just to give an example for you all as well. Beyond that, engines really don't matter, besides obviously just having something here. So obviously like if you're trying to upgrade other stuff and can't get not going to be able to get something that's epic, don't worry about upgrading your impulse engines. Really, this is only like if it's like nice to have. If you have everything else upgraded, then go and upgrade your impulse engines. In terms of warp cores, most of them don't matter too much for your one pieces. It's nice to have ultra rare on them, just that you can get the amp thing on it. The amp of the plus 3.3% ult damage per subsystem with 75 or more power. And that amp is also for your singularity cores as well. Singularity cores are a little bit different than warp cores. I use ramen characters. I don't like the ramen chips because of that, and also because a lot of the ramen chips that should have this ability don't have them. So, feel free to look into the description for warp cores and singularity cores for things that you want. Obviously, singularity cores can work for tanking, like especially if you level up the singularity core level and then use warp shadows to help out, to get some mini photonic fleets kind of going during your runs and stuff. I don't personally like them, but so it's your own personal preference there. I obviously like the Kabbalah 4-piece really because of the warp core. The warp core combined with the shields is super powerful. I mean, there's obviously other stuff out there. If you're going for just a flat out one piece, there is the stuff from the fleet, the normal fleet starbase. I think fleet plasma warp cores. I think that's where you find them. They're also decently good as a one piece. So that's also nice as well. For shields, I also have links for that in the description, but super generally, like resilient shields are generally better for DPS ships. Covariant shields, because they have higher shields in general, are better for your science ships. And the regenerative shields are best for your tanking ships, just because you're taking so much damage that it's nice to have some extra regen on your ship. That the extra shield capacity isn't going to matter too much. What matters more for you as a tank is going to be how fast can I get my shields back. And so, obviously having a regenerative shield rate is really good. The two best ones in my opinion for regenerative shield rates is obviously the Kabali as well as the Lucari one. Which I don't have that because I didn't want to invest in microtankers to get that. I might add a later date just to show you how that works versus the Kabali, and why the Kabali one is still slightly better for, especially for engineering tactical guys. When I explore with the science tanking stuff, I think the Lucari one's going to be better, but I haven't played with that enough yet to really know for sure. In terms of other ones, especially if you're going for a DPS route, that the Iconian Shield, I would say still, for general types of builds, is probably the best one out there for you. Just because it is a resilient shield. It's not showing it here, but every 10 seconds, this shield will remove one debuff from your ship. Not to mention if you go for a 2-piece, the shield removes disabled shields once every 6 seconds, and then the warp core will remove will remove disables to weapons once every 60 seconds. And so that's really good. As you can see here, all engineers of shields by 50% reduced. It's also a very nice base to have for shields as well. And that it's a resilient shield, so it's 95% going to shields and only 5% to your hull, unlike all the other shields in the game. So yeah, that's the super basics for shields. As I mentioned before in a different video, the Soul Defense Shield is also a decent one as well. I've never played Super Science characters specifically, so I'm not sure if this is one of the better covariance shields in the game, or if there are other ones that are better, like the Aegis. I haven't really compared them too much. It's just that because I like being a tank, covariance just have such low regen versus everything else that it just doesn't feel great for me. But it is there. So yeah, those are basics of the last little bits that I really wanted to talk about. Before I close, though, I just want to mention a shout out for a couple of YouTube channels. That their links are also on my main page for the channel, so you can feel free to find the links there. Also in the description too. So first off, because I am part of the Alpha Squadron Elite Fleet and Armada, obviously I have that as the first thing. We don't post a lot of videos there publicly. Most of ours are actually more private on our Facebook channels. So if you want to join us and see those videos, feel free. We definitely want to know what your main character is in Star Trek Online and what's joining our fleet and Armada, just so that we know. Because that's also very valuable. I am also one of the higher ranked people in the fleet, and I run our second escort group that runs like every couple of weeks. Our next one is going to be this Saturday. So if you join the fleet in like the next day or so, feel free to join me there, and you'll see me in my little tanky Alachi Sateth escort that I'll be using for that. For some other YouTube videos out there, or so YouTube channels out there, Snipey47 Gaming and Zev Film Productions are both channels that are super awesome, and they produce great high quality videos. That a lot of them are very cinematic in nature. But also Snipey does do some occasional builds every once in a while. He's been out of the game for a little bit, but I mean he still does great videos. If you want some like general stuff of like how the game works and how to make money and those types of things, SOB's Casual Corner is another excellent channel to check out. I have included some links to him in previous videos in the past, just because he does give some great stuff. And for most casual or semi-casual players in the game, his stuff is going to be very valuable to you in general. The very last channel that I wanted to do a shout out for is for Dark Blade's channel. He often does videos with Timberwolf. Darkblade is a tank player, and Timberwolf is more of a DPS player, but he's like a casual DPS player, so his numbers aren't ridiculously high. But Dark Blade used to go by Captain Blade, and that's why his channel is still called Captain Blade J52 Gaming. He's been doing tanking videos for a long time in Star Trek Online. In fact, it was some of his videos back like 2 or 3 years ago that I saw on YouTube when I was trying to explore how to do tanking. That some of his stuff actually fixed a lot of my conceptions of how to actually tank in the game. However, as I've been a tank for a long time now, I don't fully agree with everything that he says about the game in terms of how to properly tank. But if you like a second perspective, he is definitely a good one to check out. He does have several builds still on there. Some are old from previous seasons, but I mean, it's still some good builds at least to think about. I personally love my 5.3 configuration the best of all of them, but yeah. Feel free to check out his channel for additional tanking stuff if you wish as well. Also, in addition, feel free to comment below. You'll see it below the channel. Feel free to comment, in just normal comments, or to me personally at counteryologaming@gmail.com about your feelings on this series. Now, if you're gonna swear, or if you're gonna use profanity, please just send that to my email. Do not have that in the public comments, or I will censor you. Just saying, I don't like to see profanity and swearing out in the public eye, just the way that I am. And I really want to hear all of your comments, critiques, ways to improve, things that you liked about the series, things you want to have to stay the same. Simply because in the next few months, I'll probably make another survivability guide that's much better, much higher quality, edited, with like cool stuff, text things that pop up on the screen as I start to get more used to those types of things. So yeah, and of course we're gonna have more visuals, a lot less rambling by me overall. And also with any other improvements that I receive from you all. So yeah, so please give me some feedback that I can use, whether that's in the comments, whether that's at my email, or whether that's just in-game mail to me in Star Trek Online. My in-game mail, what is it? Because I don't use it too much. My in-game mail, say if you email me at Ricky Fury at Fury9T214, you'll be able to just send me any comments there as well if you prefer to do it that way. So yeah, send me some feedback in any way that you see fit, so I can improve this for future people that want to learn more about survivability in Star Trek Online. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you have found at least a few things throughout this video series that have been useful and interesting or entertaining, whatever, to make your experience in Star Trek Online that much more enjoyable and just overall better. Anyway, live long and prosper, have many glorious battles, build your legacy, and remember that victory is life. Good luck, Captains.